I'm Wolf at Healing Wolf Coaching, here to sprint with you across the landscape of recovery, across the grassy fields of wildflowers on your recovery journey. Let's breathe together. Deep breath in, little sip at the top, slow exhale. Everyone does things that are not particularly comfortable in order to teach our unconscious mind and show our unconscious mind that we're safe and that we're well and that we're strong. Nobody likes to go to do a workout. I mean, sometimes people come to enjoy it, but there's pain involved, there's exertion involved, and our unconscious mind will often say, don't do that. Try to come up with excuses as to not doing that. But why do we do it? Because we feel stronger in the end and more capable. That's what I'm suggesting as you practice the techniques that I teach and the techniques that you're going to learn on this journey. And so let's look at it from a perspective too of doing something that's ancient. Like let's say you go fishing. Fishing in itself is a brutal business, right? It's not particularly fun to have to impale a worm, a shrimp, even a lure. There's possibility of puncturing your finger. You're getting ready to try to kill something. All of that on the surface looks like, man, that doesn't seem that fun. Even if you're throwing it back, you're probably going to kill it. The fish is wounded. A lot of those fish just die. So you're in a business of karmically entering into this dance of death with another living creature. And if you have an open, kind, compassionate heart, you're probably going to feel something along those lines. But nevertheless, you may do it because there's an underlying energy and a program in us to find food, to hunt, to survive. You might even go in the woods and harvest mushrooms, forage mushrooms, or grow a garden and cut the plants, pull them out. And on some level, none of that should be fun, right? It's dirty, it requires exertion, it's work. But on a primitive level for unconscious mind, that all reads. Unconscious mind is reading those behaviors as being more safe. Even people go and throw axes for fun. Why would you do that? Feel safer if you know how to throw an axe. You're in a battle situation thousands of years ago and you know how to throw an axe and you feel more calm, more comfortable. So people go and throw axes for fun. Interesting, right? That you would go pay money to throw an axe when axe throwing is not relatively useful as a skill. There are a lot of things like that where there's a survival energy involved and it makes unconscious mind feel calmer, feel like you've done something interesting or fun. Think about going to a shooting range. You go to a shooting range, you're shooting. It's loud, it's really loud, it stinks. You're breathing in lead fumes. You're around other people with guns and everything is just loud, but people do it for fun. They pay money to go and they buy bullets and they have their gun and they shoot it and they clean the gun. I mean, there's so much involved. And why do people do that? Why should you feel good about going to do something like that? Because unconscious mind feels a little bit safer with that gun, knowing that gun, you know how to use that gun. If you were in a confrontation, which most people who have guns never are in their lives, at least not in this lifetime, unless you were going to war, you're in the military, you're doing something. Most average citizens are not going to have to do that. If you're a warrior and you're going somewhere into a foreign country, yes, this is totally something that you'll be doing. And hopefully it will be something that you feel calm about through your training, through shooting, through all of those things you're doing. It goes back to a primitive hunting instinct too, to be shooting something. Back in the day, it was arrows or blowguns or throwing boomerangs or stone bolas or whatever. But that all taps into this primitive sense of safety. So what I'm suggesting here is that you may be doing things on your journey of recovery from chronic pain or anxiety that are not going to be comfortable, but if you can make them fun and give your unconscious the message that you can experience all this stuff that might not be on the surface fun, but in the long run, it's going to make you feel more comfortable by being in the uncomfortability of it, right? So shooting range, loud, earplugs, fumes, whatever's going on there, you could say that you're uncomfortable. Maybe you have earplugs, maybe whatever, but ultimately it's the sensations coming in. If you don't have all the gear, are not going to be particularly comfortable. A lot of people don't like to do it because they feel uneasy being around a bunch of people with weapons. A lot of people don't like to fish. They don't like to see the blood. They don't like to have to watch the eyes of the fish as you kill the fish. I mean, there's a brutality there, but it's also survival. And we had to do it for millennia. Now we go and buy fish in the market, and we don't have to do that. So that's what I'm saying here, is that there are practices like somatic tracking, or some of my somatic practices, like you can download at my website. If you sign up for my newsletter, there's one called The Rose Teaches the Thorns How to Pray. It might not feel totally comfortable to do a dance, a mental psychological dance with your pain, to befriend your pain, to say things to your pain, to really engage with your pain and get intimate, embrace your pain. But just like hunting and fishing and all these kind of practices, I mean, we didn't even talk about hunting. Yeah, there's a lot involved there. And that's even more brutal than fishing in many ways, because we're mammals killing mammals usually, or birds, whatever. But still, there's a lot of gruesome details. You might be sitting out in the woods in the cold for 6 hours waiting for your prey. And so there's this deep drive to do it. And there's a deep drive to do things that may be uncomfortable, but in the end will lead us to more feelings of preparation, of safety, of feeling prepared to do whatever we need to do. And in the case of recovery, that preparation, that training is not about pulling back a bow and shooting an arrow. It's about pulling back your mindset and shooting the mindset at the sensation of saying, I'm going to go right into you. I'm going to move right into you. And I'm going to, whatever is happening there is fine with me. I can handle it. And then repetition over time, it shifts things. You build that habit in your mind of moving towards the uncomfortable sensations, and they fade away. And just like any other practice, you get comfortable with the uncomfortable and it becomes comfortable. All right, that's today's message. Thanks for being here. I feel for you on your journey. I love you with the love of someone who's been on that journey. If you're a hell walker, as I was a hell walker, then bless you on your journey. I'm here for you. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, head over to healingwolfcoaching.com and click Book Consult for a free strategic consult. I'll see you there.